What's going on, good people? You know how we get down. You either get right or you get left. Hey, the Atlanta Falcons have franchise tag Kyle Pitts. We're getting ready to dive into that and a few other things. So you sit back, relax. We got you covered. Let's go.
Okay, y'all, this is it.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? You either get right or you get left. Welcome to the Birdcage Pop-Up Show. Kyle Pitts finally gets a franchise tag. Well, it was either going to be that or he was going to be traded away. One of the two things. Now that we've given Kyle Pitts, now that the front office, I'm saying we, like I control the paychecks. I wish if I had that type of money, it'd be a lot of stuff. But Kyle Pitts gets franchise tag, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely for this team here, that means we're getting ready to start probably moving possibly defensive tackle, maybe getting another wide receiver too. You got to see which way they're going to go. But bringing in Kyle Pitts again as a piece for 1 year fully guaranteed, worth $15 million, both sides are looking to possibly work out a long-term deal rather than the tag. So you pretty much have until this summer to get that right. So sitting back, paying attention to it, the question I have for most folks is he worth it? Mark Zeno, one of Atlanta's beat writers or whatnot, who covers the Atlanta Falcons, seems to feel otherwise. And many people are split down the middle. You have those that are Pitts fans that say, hey, you got to keep him here. He's this, he's that. But here's the other thing. Who's going to be throwing on the football? Penix isn't going to be ready for the beginning of the season. We want him back, but at this point, you're bringing a guy back that's going to probably be playing with a bridge quarterback at this point. We've got to see something a little bit different at this point. And it's crazy to think about it. The 2 years that he's been in Atlanta, Kyle Pitts has had to step up both times. Out of all the years he's been here, his first year, there were really no pass catchers here. Let's just be honest. Julio, Ridley, that whole situation, he was the guy. Then when you fast forward to last season, Drake was in and out of the lineup hurt. Mooney was hurt. Then he steps up and he puts up good numbers. So he's got 2 good years out of the time that he's been here in Atlanta. You've seen flashes of it. We've all seen flashes of it. But the question is this. With them franchise tagging him now, depending on how much money he gets, he possibly won't get receiver money, which actually doesn't hurt us. I don't like it. I don't love it. But I can accept the move that the Falcons have at this point. Now, the other thing is not, and here's the other thing that most people aren't going to look at. It's relatively not a number against the salary cap that's going to hurt you in the big picture. That's the whole thing. Now, that is something that I agree with Mark Zeno on. That was something that was talked about. But a lot of people aren't seeing that. A lot of people aren't seeing it that way. Now, how can he – the question is this. How can he help this offense by next year? What can you help bring to this new offense? Because everybody's going to be learning a whole new system. It's a balanced attack. It's a balanced attack. And in this system, it's really a run heavy. It's really more so run than pass. Now, you have weapons. The question is, how do we use them? You got Tommy Reese as the OC. You got Bill Callahan as your old line coach, possibly assistant offensive coordinator. And then you got Alex Van Pelt, who's got to still help coach and conduct Michael Penix Jr. at this point. Now, I'm just wanting to figure out what's going to be the next move. That's all I'm saying. I got to see how this is going to be. And with what we have cooking right now, we got to see, because this is going to be a first year coach. Well, I'm sorry, first year here in Atlanta, that he has to figure out some things that he's due for this. How do you get this offense back on track? How do you get this team? How do you get this team in the winning ways? Because this team has been below 500 for all years. Seen policy to get better. What can you do? Okay, you bring a piece such as a Kyle Pitts in here, and not just bringing Kyle Pitts in here, you're putting him in a spot to where he's got to produce. You're giving him a tryout, as we would say, a 1-year tryout. Once you give him this 1-year tryout, the question is, are you going to stay with him, or are you going to try to make a move that's going to make things a little bit different? That is the question. But right now, the Falcons are just trying to figure out how we're going to put a team together, how we're going to piece everything together, and what we're going to put together to give us a chance to win. At this point, I don't give a damn who they bring back here. Look, if you can help us win this weak division we're in and we can get to the playoffs, that's all I'm concerned about at this point. Look, I'm going to tell you this. No, I'm not the biggest Kyle Pitts fan. I stand on it. Y'all can say what you want, and that's fine. But there are a lot of people here that weren't Matt Ryan fans, and Matt Ryan was balling the whole time he was here. But hey, listen to other people, he wasn't. So with the fan base, we're always going to be split 50-50. The only time we're probably ever going to agree on something is when we win a championship. That's the only time that I believe that you're going to see Falcon fans in unity. But we're always going to be arguing back and forth. It's just what it is. You look at it. Kevin Stefanski, that was a guy that a lot of people didn't want. But guess what? He's here. You got to ride for it. You're looking at the staff. Matt Ryan is making moves. He and Ian Cunningham are making moves. And it's really just, you're really sitting back and you really want to see how this is going to flourish. Right now, the seeds are being planted right now. The other part of this is, if you guys understand how farming works, you got to get the right soil. Okay. We got the soil here. We have the resources. Now, you're pretty much putting the seeds in the ground. You're digging up the soil. You're putting the seeds in the ground. Once you do that, guess what? You're watering that. You're putting manure over it. Right now, there's a lot of manure being put over this ground right now to really try to help fertilize this team and help grow expeditiously. That's pretty much what's happening. But again, we have to see what else is going to happen. We have to make sure that this is something that it's not just a one-shot deal to where this dude gets a paycheck and then you're stuck. Just remember, Devontae Freeman did this. Remember, there was a cornerback, Desmond Trufant, who also got paid and disappeared. Calvin Ridley was going to get money, but he had his situation off the field. However, we've seen guys get money and just disappear here in Atlanta. That's just what it is. But what Pitts does bring to this team, Pitts is going to bring matchups that are going to be mismatches, 50-50 passes that he should win majority of the time. Then you also have to look at the fact that he's going to be in a situation to where he's going to be targeted. Once you start targeting him, then Bijan gets loose. Then you still have Mooney. You still have Kadero Hodge on the squad. You still have many different pieces right now that could really change the trajectory of everything. That's how I'm looking at it. What's going on, Jens? But I just see a lot of stuff that could possibly happen in a positive light. But then I have my realistic side that I'm the bad guy. I don't mind being the bad guy. I don't mind being wrong. I want to be wrong because if I'm wrong about some things, that means this team has made some adjustments and they're gonna win. Bringing Kyle Pitts in to prove himself is a big deal because if he doesn't perform this year, you can wipe your hands clean of this. But if he performs well this year, then you can lock him up for a long-term deal, and then we get to see him as a lifelong Falcon. That's just pretty much how that would work. But right now, he's going to be on a prove-it deal because, again, you have new management here. They're not going to sit there and just lock him into a deal. Like, no, we got to see how you perform in this system. We have to see what you're going to bring to this table. We have to make sure that we're not going to get caught with our pants down. And it's not just him. There's a couple of players on this team that are going to probably end up getting franchise tagged eventually because they're going to have to prove it to the new regime. So what I'm seeing is, okay, I'm seeing that we have people in the front office that are thinking right now. They're thinking like, hey, we're not going to hurt ourselves with the salary cap. It's not going to hurt us with the franchise tag. If he does well, we can pay him tight end money and not wide receiver money. They're going to try to keep him as a tight end, which makes sense. Because if you do put him as a receiver, like some people say, oh, well, why don't we just go ahead and move him to receiver number 2? For what? Why would you remove him to receiver 2 and he's a tight end? Why would you want to pay him that money, that type of money, and he's underperformed? I mean, it is what it is. Just because you have this year in your rookie year means nothing. You still got other years too that you were here. I need to see it on a consistent basis. Consistency was the word that we used last year. That was my word, consistency. And we weren't consistent at all. What I will say is this. What we need at this point is not just consistency. We pretty much need to be right about the moves that we're making, not consistent, because you can be consistently wrong. I need you to be right at this point. We're going to add right into this. So consistency was the word. Now I'm going to add right behind it. So the theme of this year is consistently right. Can we be consistently right this year? That's what I'm looking for. Whether it's on defense, getting a cornerback too, you let Kobe Bryant grow up, but you bring in competition to push him to grow up because he's gotten better every time he's played. But I need him to step out. He's my guy. I wanted Kobe Bryant. We got him. My thing is bring in somebody that is going to challenge him and it's also going to provide depth for this team. Because again, we've dealt with injuries in the cornerback spot, offensive line spot. Now, here's the other thing. Michael Penix is probably going to play later on this year, period. But mentally, we got to make sure that he's ready. But until then, you've got to get a competent quarterback in here that is going to give Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and this offense a chance. You have to do so. Now, here's the other question I got. Do we get to see Kyle Trask? We picked him up. He's on our practice squad. Do you put him in that? Do you allow him to fight for the number 2 spot? Does he fit this offense? Does he actually fit what we're going to do? Because, again, Kyle Trask is the reason Pitts got to the league. If y'all don't know who he is, go look him up and look up his highlights. Kyle Trask was a bad boy at University of Florida. Say what you want about him. He was definitely a bad boy. And the last time they saw an SEC championship game was with that kid. And after he left, you pretty much saw they fell off like a bad habit. That's pretty much how that went. Now, the question is, can he fit into what we're doing here? Because, again, as I said before, I don't trust a damn thing coming out of University of Florida, period, at all. We have, and the reason I say that, you look at the guys that we've gotten. That's all I'm going to say. Look at the guys that we've gotten. What's going on, Tyre? Yeah, I look at it like this, bro. Right now, it's a prove it thing for me at this point. A lot of people were talking about the potential and the flashes that they saw, but hey, you got to be consistent and you got to be consistently right. That's my theme for this year with the Falcons. I need them to be consistently right, because the best thing they could have done, you franchise tagged him. You didn't pay him a long-term contract. It's a possibility that it could happen, but if I'm Ian Cunningham and I'm these new guys here, I'm not getting ready to lock him up. No, I need you to prove this year. I need you to prove it this year. That is what we need. That's all I'm saying. I've already said I'm not fond of him as a player. If he proves me wrong, I hope he does, because that means the Falcons win if he proves me wrong and he produces for us and he does some things. But for the most part, I'm with Mark Zeno on this. Okay, you had 2 good seasons. The rest of those seasons weren't. You were mediocre. It's okay. There are some guys who are just, listen, they're good players, but they're not great players. That's what happens. Many guys that are that. You got guys that were drafted in lower rounds that become great players and Hall of Famers. So again, it's not about where you're drafted. It's about what you do with your opportunity. And what we need to find out is, what is Mr. Pitts going to do with this opportunity? Because they're giving him an opportunity to be here for one more year to prove himself. We already know what Bijan is going to do. We already know what Drake is going to do. These guys were doing it when we were. We still not a great team, but we're actually better than what we've been the past couple of years. No, what I'm saying is this. I think he could be a serviceable backup compared to what we've had. I'm not saying I don't like him. He was a bad boy, but I'm not putting him over Michael Penix Jr. No. He can be a serviceable backup, and the guy can and play. Unfortunately, he was a bad spot because you had Brady coming in when you were drafted. Brady was there. And then you had Baker Mayfield to come from Cleveland to pretty much take the job from you. So at this point, he held a clipboard and was a pretty solid backup. My thing is, we need a solid backup because Easton Stick is trash. Emory Jones isn't that good. I mean, who else are we going to turn to at this point? That's all I'm saying. But I think we do need to bring another quarterback in and actually have a quarterback contest. Because here's the thing, Arthur Blank and these guys are really stuck and sold on Penix being the number one guy. But I'm looking at the fact that I want to bring in a guy that's going to compete for that number one job. I'm sorry. Like, I love Penix is my quarterback, but hey, I need somebody who's going to bring in and produce. And when they bring in something that's going to produce, what that means is you're going to get the best out of Michael Penix. So all I'm saying is we need a bridge quarterback right now, and we need to bring in some more competition. That's what I'm looking at, because we already know Whiteside was awful and everything else that's done been in this quarterback room outside of Penix. So I just look at it like this, man. We still have to look for different things. No, I saw what's going on, Winston. Y'all check out the eye test, man. Yeah, we cut him last week, and that's why I was saying everything with this situation. You really got to start looking to build that quarterback room in case something happens to Penix, and you have somebody that's going to be able to take over. That's all I'm saying. But getting back to it, man, I feel as if the Falcons are really looking at other pieces at this point, not in a bad way, not in a bad. I good. And when you look at Michael Penix being with Kyle Pitts or whatnot, they got a lot to prove. They got a lot that they have to do, where it's not just proving it, it's really being able to sell the front office. Because look, us as fans, we can't do anything about it. We can voice our opinions all day. We can voice them, but it means nothing. Let's just be real. It means nothing at this point. The best way that we can actually, what's going on, continue to call into the radio stations. For my content creators out here, continue to keep pushing content, telling the truth, talking about things that won't get talked about on the radio, where you get your calls hung up on. Continue to keep talking about the issues that we have, because apparently you see Arthur Blank or somebody from that Falcons organization is listening. Think about it. When did we ever think we'd ever see a Georgia Bulldog drafted? Hell, especially at number 1. And that's in the backyard. They traded up and got a pass rush. I'm just saying it's a lot of things that you got to look at. What's going on, Trucker Mike? Welcome, my guy. I'll answer your question. It says, who do we replace Tyler Algier with behind Bijan, and who's likely to come to Atlanta in free agency? I can make it easy for you. You can actually get a running back as an undrafted free agent that's one of the best in the country. It's a guy by the name of Curtis Allen out of Virginia Union, 2,300 and some yard rusher out of Virginia Union. Nasty running back, around 6 feet tall, 215, 220. Definitely can run between the tackles, hell of a blocker, pass catch, and can do it all. He literally won the Division D3 Heisman. So when you look at it, that's a guy that you could bring in, or you can even let kids come from the Seahawks. They're letting him walk. Depending on how much he's going to cost, that's an option. But it's many different people that you can look at. When you talk about with Tyler Algier. Because more than likely, I hate to say it, Tyler's not going to get no money. Now, if they give him money, I'll be happy. But Tyler wants to start, which I don't blame him. You know, Tyler has the potential to be a starting running back and be a good running back in the NFL, really a top back. We know this. But again, Bijan was a first-round pick. Bijan is a star. Bijan does things that Tyler doesn't do, but Tyler is the consistent guy. Bijan is the guy that's going to give you the flash, the dash. He's going to give you the effect. Like, I'll put it this way. If I got to compare players, I'll give you this. Bijan, and no point intended, I'm calling him this. Bijan would be your O.J. Simpson of the 70s. Because if you look at it, O.J. was the guy that everybody wanted to be. He was on every highlight, and he was literally one of them dudes. But then you got Tyler Algier. Point of consistency. Doesn't miss games, plays hard, tough, doesn't fumble the ball, just does many things. And no, I'm not calling these guys, I'm saying the situation is similar. If Tyler was to go somewhere, he'd be like a Walter Payton type of back. Guy's not be his lad, a guy that's going to get the job done week in and week out, and he's pretty much like the post office. Rain, sleet, or snow, he's going to get it done. And he's going to put it all out there for you. That's the type of back he is. Now, I'm not comparing those two to those, but I'm saying the situation is similar because Walter Payton wasn't appreciated until after he retired. Y'all could go back and look at that. Yes, he was talked about, but he definitely did not get the love that OJ got during the 70s. Or, you know, or even some of the backs you see, Eric Dickerson and guys like that who were great. Walter was respected, but he wasn't revered as he was until he passed away. That's when Walter started getting that. So again, Tyler Algier is a worker bee. He's one of those guys that's going to bust his ass to get to the next level. That's how he is. Not saying that Bijan isn't. Bijan is a hell of a talent. That's the reason I'm speaking on it. It's two great backs. They just do different things. They both can still be great at the same time. It's just what's your flavor. Do you pretty much like the flash and pizzazz that comes with it? Or do you like a guy that's just going to pretty much wear you down with his will, his heart, and his toughness? So it's all in what you like. So I hopefully Trucker Mike, I answered your question in that sense. But like I said, there's a couple of backs that I've even looked at that I would say, but my heart is with Curtis Allen. That's a guy I would love to see in Atlanta. And many guys have heard me speak on that kid, and he's just a phenomenal back. But getting back to Kyle Pitts at this point, here's the other thing. Cleveland's offensive line is hitting free agency. The whole offensive line. The last time we took offensive linemen from Cleveland, Alex Mack, remember what happened? He became an anchor on our offensive line and helped lead the Falcons to a Super Bowl with Matt Ryan and company. We have to see what they have over there. We have to see how much it's going to cost because right now the Falcons need better depth. At this point, you got guys who know the system. We have guys that are on contract here. Lindstrom's not going anywhere. Ryan Neisel was solid this year, but at the same time, I think we could be better. In my opinion, I think we could be better on the offensive line now that you're bringing in the Bill Callahan. When you look at Caleb McGarry, great run blocker, pass blocker. I wouldn't trust him as much. I wouldn't trust him as much as I trust the government giving me $1 million right now. I wouldn't. But as a run blocker, man, I put the house on it. I know he's gonna go maul some stuff. But again, I got to give him a chance to work with Bill Callahan. Now, I still am going to have my thoughts about if he's going to make it this year. Now, here's the other thing. Bill Callahan coming here working with the offensive line possibly could help Kyle Pitts become a better pass blocker or a run blocker. This is something that we haven't talked about. I didn't bring this up. This is the first time me mentioning this. You could possibly have Pitts becoming a better run blocker under a Bill Callahan, learning different techniques, being able to work with him. Now, if Bill Callahan can't bring that toughness out of whether it's Pitts, whether it's McGarry, or anybody that's on that offensive line, they got to go. Because Bill Callahan is the closest thing that we have to Howard Mudd. Shout out to Mr. Daniel Hatman, who came on here a couple of weeks ago, former NFL agent as well. Former NFL scout. Hell, you might as well say he's like an agent because he definitely knows how to work the room. But, he actually worked with Howard Mudd at one point. He actually worked with a Tom Coughlin and those guys when he was a scout. And when you talk about bringing in a Callahan is on that level. And my thing is, we got to get better at pass protection because if we're going to have Penix come back, we got to be able to keep him upright and keep him healthy. Because, again, one more injury is not going to be good. It's just not going to be good at all. And right now, we don't really need to go back to the drawing board to try to find somebody right now. Not for him. So my thing is, for this offensive line, and let's start making some things happen. Let's get our pass blocking a little bit better. Let's work on the little things. And then that's when you're going to get the consistent wins when we're in the right place, when you get the tight games where things aren't going to fall apart. I trust my defense. It's my offense I don't trust. I got to see what we're going to do. Because defensively, I really believe that we have one of the best defenses in the league. Yeah, we fell off a little bit during the season, but what showed me enough, when you're ranked number one for majority of the season, about almost 2 months, that should tell y'all something. But again, we got to see what this offseason leads to. This was a major move by the front office. Definitely not a fan of it, but I'm also not against it either. Because if we can get the best out of him this year, okay, sign him to a contract, extend him, give him his money. But it's got to be consistent, because if it's not consistent, you're going to damn sure hear about it from the fans. You're going to hear about it from the media. You're going to hear about it all the way around. And I'll say this, and this is something that Daniel Hatman said, and this is something that I've talked to many people that have been on this show. A lot of the time, the best talent never touches the field. We got his replacement right on this bench right now, Josh Simon. Most people don't know about him, and they will say, well, he didn't get drafted. Okay, Kobe Bryant didn't get drafted, and Kobe was the top cornerback in the country. Josh Simon was also a top tight end in the country, but he didn't get drafted. He had Nash, who was pretty much one of the best receivers in the country, who we had before he ended up going to Washington. So again, all the best players don't always get drafted. So please don't let that just be the way that you look at things, because Josh Simon fits what this offense does. Physical, mean, can get the job done, and he can do some things. We just have to make sure that we're actually patient enough at this point. And what's going on, Coach McGriff? What's happening? Yes, The combine time is literally nothing but underwear Olympics. That's Coach Terry McGriff, Birdcage alum, football coach, high school, college, has done it on both levels and definitely is one of our favorites here. Hell, he might as well be a part of the cast as many times as he come up on the show and he talk with us. But Coach McGriff talks about it all the time. You can't sit there and get enamored with just the combine. You got to look at the film. The film don't lie. We guys who in shorts and the t-shirt, and the perfect example, and I'm gonna throw this out for y'all, and then I'm gonna open up the line and you guys come in for about 10, 15 minutes, and then we're gonna end the show. It's just a quick pop-up. I'll give you this. Chris Collinsworth is a guy that most people can't stand. They can't stand it. But the thing about Chris Collinsworth is this. Collinsworth was a fast dude. He didn't look like it. He looked like a little gangly guy that you can break in half. But you put him on the football field, he was hard to stop. Most people don't like him as a commentator, but he was a hell of a wide receiver. Not many people can step on and stop me on that. And trust me, and you had killers at that time at the cornerback spot. You had safety at the time that were killing folks. This is before receivers could just run through and they pretty much played grab ass now. This is when you could actually knock the hell out of somebody back in the day. But guess what? Game has changed, just like everything else has changed. And truthfully, he would eat today. Go look at the highlights. And for y'all that don't believe it, he converted from being a quarterback to being a receiver. And then it gets even better. He's also a state champion in track in the 100-yard dash. And yes, it was during desegregation, because y'all like to make jokes saying, oh, that was way before. No, that was when he was racing against brothers down in the state of Florida. And you know what kind of speed come out of Florida. So again, when you talk about a guy like that, Chris Collinsworth was one of the best athletes to come out of the state, basketball, football, and also track and field. Well, long time no see. Welcome back to the cage, Coach. Sir, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
As soon as I start talking about the most Osiris Gators, you want to pop up. You always like to stick up for your boys, but you're within the part of the show where we're gonna let you guys talk. So welcome, Coach Terry McGriff, former semi-pro football coach, college coach, and also high school coach, mentor, and, scout. He does it all. So, Coach, Kyle Pitts has the franchise tag now. They're giving him $15 million guaranteed for 1 year. Now, we already know that both sides are still going to be trying to work on a long-term deal. Do you feel as if this is just a prove-it deal at this point to see what he's going to bring to the table in this new offense, because this is a whole new regime and they're not trying to dump money? Or do you feel as if he's going to be here long-term?
I think I'm a little bit different. I think they want him here long-term. I think a little bit, once I said, a little bit of both. I think the franchise tag right now gives them time to work out a long-term deal. And like you said, it's a new regime. It'll allow them to see how he does, how he handles his business, especially in the off season. What he does, how many times he's going to come in the building. As you know, a lot of the guys go different places across the country to do their off season conditioning and training. But that gives them time to see if the number's right, because of the other guys they got to sign and the draft, getting ready for the draft, who they're going to bring in and how that number fits under the cap. And so $15 million, you can consider him a hybrid receiver anyway. That's still cheap. I remember for the Jaguars, De'Ami Brown signed a 1-year, $10 million deal last season with the Jaguars. And so it's like a small blip on the salary cap. So if he plays on that, he'd actually did the team a favor. $15 million is not a lot of money for a move tight end if they're going to use him the way they're supposed to use him. If they use him anyway, like the last regime used him the last month of the season, then he'll be an all-pro caliber tight end, more like that Kelsey type. Every tight end is not a two-way tight end. There ain't too many guys. What's his name over there in San Francisco or the Jaguars tight end that can block and receive at the same high level. So, he's a mismatch. You got to understand in the passing game, Kyle Pitts is a mismatch if he's used right. You can't really count him in the blocking game. He's kind of a willing blocker, but he kind of telegraphs what the team is going to do when he's on the field. Unless you put him out, which to me, I would in red zone, I'd make him a wide receiver in the red zone because he's a mismatch, kind of like Gronk. You know what I mean? He's fast enough to run past guys. He's definitely tall enough and physical enough to out jump guys. But between the 20s, he's basically strictly a receiving tight end. And I've seen him last year. He's a willing blocker, but he's not dominating. And you can't base your running game on depending on if he's going to make that block to seal the end or not.
So in other words, his blocking style is pretty much like Tommy Hearns Chin was in the 80s when he fought against Sugar Ray Leonard and fought against Marvin Hagler. He's willing to throw it out there, but he ain't strong enough for it. He get dropped like a bad habit. Yes,
right.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a fight fan as well. Shout out to Frank Martin. We still, like I said, we're actually gonna have Buddy McGirt on. We had to reschedule because Buddy was pretty much at the fight this weekend because he had one of his fighters and had something to go on with the press conference. That was why we didn't have him on Thursday. But I are going on Thursday to talk Falcon football is the Georgia Bulldog, and also living on the airways in Atlanta for over 20 years, Mr. Benjamin Buck Ballou. He will be back in here Thursday to talk Falcons football and talk a little Georgia football, the real college where we produce real football players. Can't keep bringing these lizards up in here, man. But I'm gonna take my shots. I got to. It's too many of y'all I grew up with, so you're actually one of the only Gator fans I give a pass to. Anybody else, hell no. But but getting back to it though, even though he's a willing blocker, I think that changed when he heard all the criticism that he received from the fan base, from a lot of the fans, because the fans are 50-50 on him right now. You get what I'm saying? So just like the fans are 50-50 with Stefanski right now. There are people who want him here. There are people who don't want him here. And I said this here earlier. The only way that everybody comes together and congregates and you're going to see kumbayas is if Atlanta wins the Super Bowl. Because I feel like this franchise is going to be split, pretty much until the end of time, because they had an Iron Man and Matt Ryan here that on his 3 games or 14 years here. And a lot of people still aren't fans of his. But when
I tell you what, even if the Falcons win the Super Bowl, you still gonna have some people whining and crying because it ain't gonna never be good enough. We didn't win enough, or we didn't feature the right guy when we wanted. So and so didn't get a touchdown, or he didn't get enough touches during the game. You ain't gonna never. It's the old saying: you're not gonna please 100% of the people 0% of the time. Somebody always gonna have a reason. Well, we could have did this better. We could have did that better. But I mean, right now, he is an asset. He's not the best asset, but here's the thing: you got to put him where he's going to be most effective. You can't use him in the run game all the time because unless he does something in the offseason, puts on some weight, work was on his blocking techniques where he can just really, become that dominant blocker. He's basically a receiving tight end. He's been that since he was in high school, and he is what he is. And you got to figure out a way to use him and understand what his limitations is and minimize those. So, I would not have him as an inline blocker. You'd probably be better off putting him in the backfield and letting him come out of the backfield on, with his blocking, or moving him as a blocker, put him in motion and then make him a kick out. But putting his hand down in the ground and asking him to move a defensive end. Or if you looked at some of the things last year where he wasn't holding, they was doing combo blocks with the tight end, and he wasn't holding that block so the lineman can get up. He has mistakes with his technique, and I don't know if they're going to ever fix that because he doesn't about that life, in my opinion. Not that he's not a tough guy. He's just not him. You got Evan Ingram's the same type of guy. It's tons of those guys out there, but everybody loves them because in the passing game they are a mismatch. Now Stefanski is going to be 3 wide receiver, 3-4 wide receivers all the time, and mix in the running game. Then he's going to be perfect. But if you're looking for the 2 tight end, 5 yards in a cloud of dust type of running game, 35 times carrying the ball, he ain't the guy to be on that. I think it might be a little bit of the two. And Stefanski was known to try to be game plan specific depending on the defense. But will there be games where he's inactive because they're going to be heavy run, or will he be a focal part of the offense? That's where you going to have the big question marks right now. And like I said, $15 million on a franchise tag is really not a lot if he stays in place on that. So it's not a really big deal to me.
I think they would probably work on an extension. But before we get to the last part of this conversation, we got to take a quick commercial break. Hey, y'all stay tuned.
Tax season is the toughest time of year for some. Don't let individual taxes, business taxes, and audits keep you down. If you're looking to save time and make the most out of tax season, check out Upscale Professional Taxes. Free quotes, rapid returns, individual and business taxes filed. Also, cash advances up to $7,000. Simple, secure, professional. Call now to get the maximum refund you deserve. Also, you can receive up to $100 for each referral to Upscale Professional Tax Services. For more information, contact tax specialist Cinque Mentor at 404-993-0642. Your refund awaits, so don't hesitate. Call now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to our guy Cinque Mentor, better known as Scoop, the Black Wall Street. He has his tax return business that will definitely be in play this year. So if you're looking for someone to assist you with your taxes, please give that gentleman a call.
Do we do taxes for the NFL guys? Because he looked like he played.
Hey man,
You got the gray beard.
He taking a water break. That's what he doing. He had the JOB. He had to slide in here.
Damn right I am. Damn right.
What's up, man?
What's going on, man? How you doing? Coach McGriff, man, good to see you.
You too, man.
Just want a quick shout out about the franchise tag. I kind of expected it for the Falcons. I mean, they still on the fence because I think he proved himself to at least get one more showing how he produced last season with us under Zach Robinson or whatever. So I kind of expected it, and I do agree with Coach McGriff. 15 million is not as bad because you got to look at players like George Pickens. Franchise tagging him, they're gonna cost him $28 million. Oh, you got to look at that 1 year, $28 million against the cap. Yeah, kind of steep for 1 year. So yeah, for this franchise tag, 15 million is not bad. It just depends on what they're trying to negotiate with him long term for an extension, 4 year, taking 4 year player exemption or whatever the case may be. So, and whatever him and Mr. Falcon himself, Matt Ryan, and the new general manager.
Hold up. Stop. No. If you're going to say somebody is Mr. Falcon, there's only one person with that name. Rest in peace to Tommy Nobis. That is Mr. Falcon. Don't ever do that again. No.
Okay. Matty Ice.
Thank you.
That better.
No, you ain't finna shut me. No, you're not gonna shut me up. The hell with that.
Disrespecting Tommy Nobis, man. Don't put that on me. Don't put that on me.
No, because guess what? Wait a minute. Because we got people that are actually tied to him that watch this show.
No, sir. Matty Ice.
We might
Matty Ice.
There go Cam. Oh, Cam. What's up? Just chilling in this car.
Cam, I know why Cam looking like that. I know why Cam looking like that. Craig, yeah, we just tagged him. He's got 15 million. Both sides are trying to figure out if it's going to be a long-term deal, but I don't think that they're going to make a long-term deal this offseason. It's pretty much a prove-it deal for him this year, just to make sure last year wasn't a fluke. Because if he lightens up one hair, he ain't going to be here. Not with this regime. This is a brand new regime. So it's not going to hurt us in the cap, like Graybeard was saying, and we're going to be in a good spot. Cam?
Good spot my ass. I'm stuck with this man for another year. And it's not often that I'm at a loss for words. It's not often I'm at a loss for words.
Well, Cam, I'm in the boat with you. I told you this. I said, look, I'll take a franchise tag before I take a long-term contract at this point.
But
I want to
1 year.
Do y'all think they should still sign Njoku and have them both?
Yes.
Not at this point.
Anyone is an upgrade over Kyle Pitts at this point. I've said it for years. I've said it. Jonnu Smith in the same system with a terrible offensive coordinator put up career numbers. Kyle Pitts couldn't do it. Then again, when you had what's the tight end before that? Oh my God, we only had him for a year. I can't think. Mike McCall.
No, Michael.
I think I know who he's talking about. I think he ended up in New England, right?
Michael Pruitt.
He did the same thing. Unproductive quarterbacks, offenses that doesn't work, and yet those guys still found a way to produce. Kyle Pitts has been here for 5 consecutive years. You had one season where you were force-fed the ball because we had no other receivers. And then last year, you just so happened to luck your way into looking like a halfway decent football player.
Well, remember the 2 seasons, and I said this at the beginning of the broadcast, the 2 seasons that he's had great numbers, he was the only target because guess what? Julio was gone. Ridley was in that situation with the gambling. And then you look at this situation last year, Drake was in and out of the lineup hurt, and Drake was still producing even when he was hurt. And then you got to look at Darnell Mooney. He wasn't even 100% because our coaching staff decided to play him with a busted collarbone. So at this point, all you can sit back and say, it's a lot of people right now. You got the fan base split, but guess what? We got a fish on the hook. And as and as my man Eddie Murphy was saying, Vampire in Brooklyn, got us another. Exactly. That's what we at with it.
I will say this.
We got Jalen Mayfield.
Man, you know what?
But without nobody throwing them the ball, you don't. I don't think it don't matter who the tight end gonna be because if you look back, the last 4 weeks, the quarterback play was better. It was better, and the offense seemed better. And you had I can't remember what's the little white guy, the wide receiver, and they had a good connection. They did actually
Drummond,
huh?
Kirk Cousins and Dylan Drummond.
Yeah, they were the quarterback play was better, and that's one of the things that I know we're talking about Kyle Pitts right now, but that's the thing that really got to get addressed in the offseason because do you really believe Penix is going to be ready to go? And he's got to learn a new system. He's still, and people forgetting, he's still learning how to be a pro. You get what I'm saying? That's the main thing. He ain't learned how to be a pro, and let's just keep it a buck, as my sisters say. We don't know if he's going to last the season anytime in his career. So, everybody gets hurt from time to time. Quarterbacks get hurt. I mean, Kyler Murray gets hurt. He's in limbo because, his injury situation. But then again, imagine if Kyler Murray would have been healthy last year with the way those guys played at the receiver spot, especially that tight end he had. If you don't have the quarterback, you can't really judge everybody else. I mean, imagine what Drake London would have with a really competent quarterback play. So, I mean, everybody has injuries, but with Darnell Mooney, I thought the last 4 weeks of the season the offense looked better than it had because there was some you had better quarterback play regardless of the play caller. And the coach we're bringing in now, he's a good play caller, but will the quarterback play match the play caller? And that's going to be the biggest question. And it don't matter if the quarterback sucks, who get the ball.
It was Drummond and it was David Sills. It was both of them that was balling out. So it was 2 of them. But again, all I can say is at this point, it's just, what? We just gonna have to, as they would say, as the old people say, you got to bring ass to get ass. It's just what it is. And at this point, How can you bring it? So
You
you
can
know
get
what?
Gronowski in the third round. You can
Hey,
get Mark Gronowski in the second or the third round.
I've been saying it,
Tell
but guess
y'all.
what? It's time to just embrace it. This is all you can say. That's all you can say at this point.
I'm just telling y'all, with the draft coming up, don't go back and look at South Dakota State film. Mark Gronowski is the man. I'm telling you, he's going to be a great pro for whoever gets
They,
him. I hope.
they just didn't
I would
have any
like to see.
playmakers at Iowa for him. We all
Thank
know
you.
that. They didn't have no playmakers for him because when you talk about looking at him winning, pretty much he's the other quarterback that won championships just like Trinidad Champions. He's the other one. Trinidad just happened to fall into a pass happy system at Ole Miss, and he had the weapons to get one. And he pretty much was one game away from a national championship pretty much at the D1 level, not the FCS level. So I'll put it this way: Gronowski's a tough kid, a guy that could throw the football, a guy that I believe that would fit a Kevin Stefanski offense. But I don't believe that Kevin is going to pull the trigger on something like that. I think he's going to more so try to get his.
He might even go undrafted because of his last year at Iowa and the way that they used him because they didn't have anything but running backs. But if you guys do any homework, just go on YouTube and just look at that kid film and talk to anybody. And then you go back through the league, how many guys that are playing in the league right now from South Dakota State. And he was one of the main reasons like that. You know, those guys, that boy can play. I don't care what nobody says. And the team who gets him is going to say, thank you, Jesus. I ain't talking about, ooh, he did. No, they're going to say, thank you, Jesus. It's going to be, and I put my reputation. I know the people up there. I've been up there several times. That young man can play. And he could have stayed. He could have left and he had almost any school he could have went to last year. He had just had the relationships at Iowa, and they promised him the moon. He had chances to leave the last 3 years to go to bigger schools, including Michigan, and he turned them all down because he was trying to continue to repeat. And only reason he couldn't stay this last year at South Dakota State because he had exhausted his eligibility with them, and so he decided to go get a paycheck before he went into the league, and he was still trying to heal up from his injury. You still need a quarterback. I like Penix. I just don't trust him with his history. That's the only thing I have a problem with them is I don't understand why they cut I forgot what his name is, and I think he's going back to Minnesota. So you got to get somebody in there to at least compete for that quarterback job, especially with a guy coming off an injury and got an injury history. I'll leave the floor to the rest of y'all to make y'all comments.
Yeah, they were actually talking about him on ESPN like a hidden gem in this draft. And then on top of that, they were really talking about him in the combine. When they talked him to show up in the combine, they were going to be all eyes on that kid. So,
I mean, he has some of the biggest hands in the draft for a tight end. He can move. He can move very well for a tight end. The only blemish that I've seen so far is that depending on where you line him up, he blocks better and he blocks worse. I believe it's the left side he blocks worse. But again, that's something that can be fixed with coaching. But like Coach McGriff was saying, the kid he's absolutely physical in the blocking game. In the running game, he's looking for contact. Like he doesn't shy away from it. So when you have a guy that can do that, like I said before, Jonnu Smith, Michael Pruitt, these are the same guys that were in the same offenses with the same quarterbacks, and they still produced. There has not been a season where Kyle Pitts stood head and shoulders above anybody in the tight end room and made it where it was, I'm the guy, you're going to feed me the ball. Like, he doesn't do that in practice, he doesn't do it in the game. And yet I'm bewildered at, we all watch the same film. Every last one of us watches the same film. How are we comfortable, still willing to pay him $15 million, possibly more for longer years, when he hasn't given us a complete season? Yet, you had 5, and they say the average time for a pro to become a pro is between 3 and 5 years. You played out your whole rookie contract. Where's the proof behind the franchise giving you the franchise tag?
Coach Cam, that's because of the fact that people are fanned out. They don't care. They want what they want. That's the reason we hear what we hear. Short for fanatic. They don't want to be truthful. So we got a spill on aisle 9 of the fans' tears about everything that's going on, because it's gonna be folks that's gonna be crying about this, and they're gonna be crying if he don't get signed. So guess what? That's pretty much where we at with it. I just say it for what it is. But anywho, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely appreciate y'all for tapping into the pop-up show. Coach Cam, Graybeard, Coach McGriff, definitely appreciate you guys for coming in. Just do a little pop-up show to talk about what was going on. I'm sure we're going to hear about this all week, but guess what? We'll definitely be waiting to hear about this on Thursday, because we have Benjamin Buck Ballou coming in here to talk Falcons football with us, as well as a little Georgia football as well. So again, I just can't wait till we get a bulldog in here that actually got some sense, and he speaks against the masses. He's a bad guy just like me, and I love it. I love it about him. A lot of people can't stand the fact that he keep it honest, but guess what? He's kept a job on the radio for over 20 years for a reason. Can't be that bad. So y'all definitely check that out. And I also want to thank the folks who are tuning in right now to the show that took time away from their day just to tap in with us real quick. We know it's going to be a ton of shows later on, but we definitely appreciate you tapping in with us. And man, please tap in with us Thursday. As I said before, we got a big time show for you guys. Going to talk about the ways that the Falcons are going to go in the draft possibly, and also what is the future going to be holding. So y'all be blessed. We'll catch you next time. Ghosts.